everyone. We're going to talk about how and why to monitor your AI agents. Specifically, I'm going to show you how to connect Copilot Studio to Azure Application Insights. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, why on earth should I care about this? I am a low coder. What do we need to be doing with all of this telemetry data? Don't worry. I'm going to help you understand why this is so critical and how it actually helps you sell agent and Copilot projects into your organization, particularly if you work in something highly regulated like government. All right, here's what we're going to cover off. Firstly, why should you care about this? Next, we'll look at what is Azure Application Insights. We'll then look specifically at how you connect a Copilot Studio agent to Azure Application Insights. It is super easy, and the telemetry data that's available and what you can do with it. All right. Let's pop out of presentation mode. Let's get into it. All right, why should you care about this? Well, this is Azure Application Insights, and what it's going to let you do is get really granular, detailed telemetry data about your AI applications. In this case, specifically an AI agent that's been created in Copilot Studio. Now, when we go to Copilot Studio, we've got a couple places where we can get details about the agent runs. Firstly, we can look at activity. Now, this is mostly going to show us test runs within the agent here itself in Copilot Studio. Or if we're running an autonomous agent, it'll show us a bit of information about that. But if we deploy it to different channels, say we've deployed it to Teams and M365 Copilot, which is a common scenario when you are building custom agents, we need to be able to see granular details about the agent run. So if we have failures, if we have fabrications or unexpected behavior, excuse me, we need to be able to see what's going on and be able to really dig into the logs, kind of like we would with plug-in trace logs or Power Automate runs and things like that. So the other thing we've got here in Copilot Studio is analytics. Now this gives us a bit more detail. If I click download sessions, I get a little bit more information. And so I can see the channel, I can see the initial prompt, I can see the response, stuff like that. So it's kind of helpful. And in a traditional low-code scenario, this is going to be fine. But when you get into large-scale enterprise, government, think not just solution architects, but you've got enterprise architects popping out and asking hard questions that as a low-coder you may not be used to answering, this is where Azure Application Insights comes to play. Now, what Azure Application Insights is it is a telemetry tool that lets you collect information from various applications, whether it's Dynamics 365, something custom, a Copilot Studio agent, and you can then analyze, you can set metrics, you can run alerts, excuse me, based off of the data. You can do a bunch of stuff. Now, this is not a tutorial on how to set up Application Insights. My assumption is you either know how to do that or you've got people you can call to do that. That's kind of a separate area. But once you've got it set up, you can do all kinds of stuff with it. So let's take a look at how we can connect our agent to Azure Application Insights. So I've got an agent here. This is my Pipeline Coach Pro agent. And all I need to do to connect it is I come here to Settings. And if I click on Advanced, this is kind of buried deep down, but there's a thing here called Application Insights. And all I need to do is copy paste in my connection string. What's the connection string? Well, all that is this thing right here. That's the connection string. That's what I'm going to copy paste in to my agent. And once I do that and save, and once I save, I'm going to get a notification saying you need to publish. In fact, let's actually do that with another agent real quick. it will then start capturing all kinds of telemetry data. So let's come over here to one of our other agents. Let's swap environments, and we'll go to the copy that I've created. And let's quickly grab this from Azure. And we'll come here to our settings, advanced, application insights. And so I've already put that in. Let's just pop it in again one more time. It's not going to cooperate. Let me see if one of my other agents will let me do it. Let's come to a blank one here. Interesting. Okay. What I think is going on here, I believe when I've added this for one, it is adding it for all the agents in this environment. I think that's what's happening because I recall only adding it for one of them. Let's take a look at another one just to see. These are all out of the box ones. So I think that's what's going on. Yeah, so what appears to happen is once you set this up, once you add it to one agent, it looks like it propagates it across all agents, at least within this environment. Now, if we go to another environment, let's just see if that holds true. Kind of learning on the fly here. So let's go to our Dataverse MCP agent. Come into our settings, advanced. No. Okay, so it looks like it does it at the environment level. So within an environment, it looks like it's going to add that connection string to all agents. Let's just test that out real quick. So let's paste that in and save. Now this is going to tell me that I need to publish my agent for changes to take effect. So let's come back and let's just quickly publish, and we'll force newest version. This is a new setting that you might have seen. This is really important if you are publishing agents to long-running channels like M365 Copilot and Teams to ensure that your changes get picked up for the users. So let's go ahead and publish that. All right, that's done. So let's come to some of our other agents in the environment. Let's take a look at this one and come into the settings. No, interesting. Okay. Now, I'm not sure if it takes time to propagate or what's actually going on, but that is, yeah, weird. Okay, moving on. Yeah. All right, so we've seen how to set it up. Now let's look at what we get from Application Insights in when our agent runs. So if I come here to M365 Copilot, I've got my agent, and I say, which of my opportunities are most at risk? And let's spell opportunities correctly. So this is going to engage the agent. So while that's running, interesting. Okay, looks like it didn't quite cooperate that time. Joys of not sacrificing enough to the demo gods. But let's come back to Application Insights just to give you a view of what's available. So I'm going to quickly refresh. And when I come here to search, that's what I'm seeing here. And I can start to see all of these different events. And so when I click on the custom event, I can see that this was in PVA Studio, Copilot Studio. and I can see different messages that were sent, telemetry. We'll come down to one from earlier this morning. So if we come here, I think it's this one. Yeah, so you can see channel is M365 Copilot. We have a conversation ID. There is a bunch of data that is shared. And so I've got all kinds of telemetry data that can be made available to my technical team. I can have this added to Grafana. I can add it to a Power BI dashboard for internal IT who's monitoring it. So I can do all kinds of stuff with this data that is now available to me in Azure Application Insights. Now, why does this matter for you? Let's say you're a low coder. When you are working on your agent projects, you can, particularly when you're working with government and enterprise, and they ask the question, how do we monitor this? How do we get into the logs? How do we see what happened? Azure Application Insights is your friend. You don't have to be super au fait with how it works. As you can see, I'm kind of ham-handedly clicking around here, but all you need to know is that we can use this connection string, add it to the agent, and now we can start to get all kinds of rich telemetry data that internal IT and other stakeholders can access as need be. So that's what Azure Application Insights can do with your Copilot Studio agents, why it matters, and how to get it set up. Drop a comment, let me know what you think. In the meantime, go do something awesome on the Power Platform today, and I'll talk to you soon.